Back again with a Raw review. This time it's March 5th, and we've got the new episode of Raw here for you. Anyway, the show starts off with Shawn Michaels and Triple H with a great segment. Triple H tells Shawn Michaels that he is taking this match because he is defending Shawn Michaels and all the claims that he couldn't get the job done against The Undertaker. Shawn Michaels insists that Triple H is jealous of him, and that's why he took the match. Long story short, Shawn Michaels tells Triple H he knows who's going to win this match because he's going to be a special guest referee in his Hell in a Cell match. Phenomenal, great acting in this segment. Kicking off the show, great. Can't say so much for the next segment. The U.S. Champion Jack Swagger versus Santino Marella. Completely overbooked. Just listen to this. So anyway, you got Laurinaitis and Otunga heading down to the ring, along with Vicky Guerrero and Dolph Ziggler, who are already at ringside. Swagger hits the Swagger bomb onto Santino after some interference, and Santino still manages to kick out. Teddy Long and Kofi Kingston and Oxana all march down to the ring, and there's so much chaos that Santino manages to use the distraction against Swagger and ends up getting a schoolboy pin on Swagger and gets the pin. I couldn't even believe it. He won the U.S. title. Teddy Long shouts at Laurinaitis, and there's a whole shouting match and says that he's got to get the fuck out of the building. Then you got Oksana, Teddy Long, and Kofi Kingston all doing the trumpet taunt all around the ring, looking like a bunch of fucking nerds. What a disaster. Santino hits people with socks and he's getting a push. The U.S. title has no prestige anymore. Dolph Ziggler's efforts, he worked so hard to give that title some prestige, and they just ruined it all in one shot tonight. And anyway, Swagger was on Superstars anyway with that U.S. title, so it's not even like it means anything anymore, Sad. Anyway, first segment of the night, The Rock is standing in front of the Boston Harbor and tosses all John Cena's merchandise into the harbor. Hilarious. And I also learned that there is a garden gnome and cologne with John Cena's name on it. Are you fucking serious? Hilarious. The Rock informs us that the cologne smells a little bit like Fear, Fruity Pebbles, and possum piss. It got a tremendous pop from the crowd. The Rock is great. Next match, Alicia Fox versus Eve. This match was under a minute. Eve wins with a sloppy-ass pin. The women's Divas division, call it what you will, is complete shit nowadays, and this is just a prime example of it. Zack Ryder comes out and tells Eve that he's glad that they didn't hook up because she's nothing but a hoskie. And goes woo and walks out the stage. Michael Cole tells him that this is all he's got after weeks of humiliation thanks to Eve. It's funny because he's a heel, Michael Cole, and he makes all the faces look like fucking assholes. I love it. Anyway, Eve chases Zack Ryder to the back and gives him a kiss on the mouth. I guess this is because maybe she's attracted to Ryder's aggression that he showed, even though it wasn't even that aggressive. It was a mere few words. But anyway, on to the next segment. So you got John Cena in an empty arena, and he's basically giving a promo, a really slow promo that sounded really scripted. It was okay, but it sounded really scripted, and that's how a lot of John Cena's promos sound, and have sounded for years. I'm not impressed. Decent, though. Better than his usual promos. It was well worded, so, it was passable. You've got CM Punk, Sheamus, Daniel Bryan, and Chris Jericho in a phenomenal matchup. Back and forth action. Stiff shots from Daniel Bryan to Sheamus. A lot of build up here. Really got us pumped for the matchup at WrestleMania between Jericho and Punk, as well as the Sheamus and Daniel Bryan match. A really confusing finish that kind of like ruined it a little bit. I'll give it 2 3/4 stars. I was gonna give it 3 stars until the fucking awful finish where it looked like Jericho and CM Punk wrestled to a draw because it looked like they both pinned each other, but it turned out that Jericho was actually pinning Punk because he had his shoulder slightly off the canvas, but that's what the King and Michael Cole are saying. It didn't look that way to me. Anyway, suspension of belief, I guess. Anyway, a decent matchup, and I'm really especially looking forward to the CM Punk Jericho match. That's going to be phenomenal. Anyway, next segment, The Rock stands in front of a Paul Revere statue and cuts a hilarious promo saying that Benjamin Franklin told him that he is the creator of electricity. That was clever wordplay. Kudos to The Rock. I loved it. Next segment, The Miz versus Big Show. Before the Big Show buries The Miz in a matchup that lasted under a minute, you got Cody Rhodes coming down, not coming down to the ring, but rather standing on the ramp and showing a clip of how the Big Show spent his WrestleMania 18 at the WWF restaurant in New York. And I have to say, it was fucking hilarious because all he was doing was going, "Ooh, WrestleMania." Anyway, the Big Show knocks out The Miz with WMD. The Miz's WWE career is probably numbered because they're just burying him nonstop. And even I know he's in the Elimination Chamber, but so was Santino. I just thought it was an all-around awful thing to do The Miz here. I mean, we're just weeks away from WrestleMania. I think it's kind of obvious he's not going to have a match there. The Rock with another segment. This one, very mediocre. Just kind of wrapping things up before he heads down to the ring later in the night. So nothing really to talk about there. The Kane versus R-Truth. Another matchup that lasted about a minute. Truth goes for the scissors kick, misses. Kane gets a choke slam and gets the win. Another wrestler getting buried here who was in the Elimination Chamber. What the fuck is going on here? And I think it's a little bit odd that both R-Truth and The Miz faced The Rock and John Cena in the main event of Survivor Series. The same two guys who are going to be in the main event at WrestleMania. I think it's kind of funny because these two guys, Miz and Truth, don't even seem like they're going to have a WrestleMania matchup, to be quite honest. The next match was a mediocre Rock and Cena segment, somewhere between mediocre and average. Not a lot got accomplished. Very little clever wordplay. I was kind of disappointed. We finally got The Rock and Cena in the ring again, and it wasn't as good as last week. Cena only came out for a few minutes last week, and more got accomplished last week in their segment. This time, not so much. So we ended it right there. Cena gets in the last word and says that he's gonna kick The Rock's ass at WrestleMania. Really original. Anyway, overall, some good material from The Rock, except for the last segment. That one was a little stale. The opening segment and the tag match were the best things that this night had to offer. I mean, I think that we had a lot of build-up for those matches, and I was really pissed off at that U.S. title match. We're going to have to talk about that more in another video. Maybe I might make a separate video about that. But overall, a mediocre night saved by two very strong segments. I'll see you for SmackDown.